Am I good to go ahead and take roll?
I think Addie's doing it right now.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I thought I was going to be a little later than I was. If we're okay, I'm just going to do roll call the way that we normally do it, where it just say here if you're here. And I'll be going through everybody's name in order that they appear on the GBM list. Sam.
Aki.
Uh-huh. Alrighty. Mehek.
Here.
Me. Addie. I know
Here.
Addie. Yeah. Will.
Here.
Ananya. Do we have it, Ananya? Alrighty.
Ananya is here. She's here.
She was having audio problems, but she's here.
Thank you. Alrighty. Julia.
Here.
Cece.
Here.
Manor. Do we have a Manor?
She can't make it
All
tonight.
right.
She has an exam.
Okay.
Wait, Karen's here. She's connecting to audio.
All right. Kadai. All right. JJ.
Here.
Alrighty. Nathan.
Yellow.
Talal. Was Talal one of the ones who told us that he couldn't make it?
Yeah, he can't come.
Okay. Megan.
Here.
Veda. Do we have a Veda?
I think he has an exam.
Okay. Subha.
Here.
Grace.
Here.
Angela.
Here.
Anthony.
Present.
Talia.
Here.
Mariano. Do we have a Mariano?
Here. Here.
Great, got it. Chinette? Do we have a Chinette? Got it. Karen, is she still connecting to audio?
Here.
Oh, okay, cool, we're good. Obi?
Here. He just put in the chat.
Here.
Alrighty. Eric?
Here.
Alrighty, Kobe?
Here.
Raj?
Here.
Harvey?
Here.
Ireland?
Here.
Elena?
Here.
Jenny?
Here.
And Ben?
Here.
Good job, alrighty. We're good to go, thanks for waiting.
All right. Can I get a motion to start the meeting?
Motion.
Motion.
Can I get
Second.
To start the meeting.
All right, I'm going to take that as a second. All in favor of starting the meeting, please go to the participants tab and hit the yes or the no or the abstaining if you're a senator. All right, so we're going to start the meeting off with reports from exec board, and then we're going to do class councils and then committee reports. So Sam, you can go ahead. Also, for all of our non-SGA members, we normally keep our video and audio off until like our reports come up or the presentations for the respective organizations come up. So Sam, you can go ahead.
Cool, thank you. And then also just FYI to all of the guest presenters here. So we're going to have about 20 minutes of presentation, and then we'll go on to news business, which will include a spin presentation. So first of all, happy Blue Jay Tuesday. I am wearing blue for once. It was a pretty busy week last week. First, we had a meeting about the Board of Trustees, which was incredibly exciting. Basically, Alana Shanahan, Vice Provost for Student Affairs, helped me set up a meeting with Maureen Marsh, which I mentioned last week. So it was me, Maureen, Alana, and Kobe and Grace too, and it was pretty successful and exciting. Essentially, we're going to have I'll back up. So the Board of Trustees, it has subcommittees, and the subcommittee most relevant to us is the Student Life Subcommittee, which does what the name describes. And the subcommittees meet every time the board meets, essentially. So that's about 4 times a year. So one of the things we asked about was whether we could come to a Student Life Subcommittee meeting and possibly come regularly. So what we're going to be doing is we're in the process of planning an SGA presentation in March to the Student Life Subcommittee of the Board of Trustees. So it'll basically be talking about like what we've been doing, like what challenges we've faced, like what our priorities are at that point in time. So that'll be pretty exciting. And the key thing is that if that meeting goes well, we might have annual meetings with the Student Life Subcommittee of the Board of Trustees. And I think that would be amazing. I think that'd be a really big step forward. And the reason I think that is that if we do this right, we could establish a recurring regular meeting between SGA and the Board of Trustees, which hasn't happened in like generations. So that'll be a pretty freaking big step. And I'm pretty excited to see where that goes. We also we're also planning to have Maureen Marsh, who's the secretary of the Board of Trustees, and a trustee to be determined possibly come to one of our GBMs in April to present to talk to us about more about what the Board of Trustees do. So that'll be pretty exciting as well. We also made progress on the question of, oh, I mislabeled that, but rather we made progress on the question of SGA and Ethics Board collaboration. We had a meeting with the presiding officers of the Ethics Board, which are essentially students that are in leadership on the Ethics Board. Me, Kobe, and Veda were there. So essentially we had broad agreement on a lot of exciting things, including SGA being able to nominate people for consideration for the Ethics Board, SGA having some sort of body to vet Ethics Board candidates and provide holistic feedback that would be considered within the process, and SGA helping the Ethics Board with certain publicity aspects. We're having a follow-up meeting, some of us are, with Jess Oros, who's an administrator who's in charge of the Ethics Board and works in conduct, on Thursday. We also had our regular meeting with Carolyn Calvin Smeda yesterday. We talked about follow-up on Woodrow Wilson. We may be hearing more about that this week on where that's at. We talked about planning for our regular event with Daniels in the spring. We talked about advice for me sending the election day letter that we voted to approve last week to Daniels. We talked about the exec SLI relationship, and we talked about getting SGA members on the Black student experience and the Latinx student experience working groups. For that last part, I'm looking for SGA people that are interested in being on those groups to send to SMETA. I figure it makes sense for a member of the Black Caucus from SGA to be on the Black students, to be our SGA person on the Black student experience working group, and for a member of the SGA Latinx Caucus to be on the Latinx student experience work group. It's not a huge time commitment, but it is a really great way to make an impact. So let me know if you're interested. I need people and currently don't have people. So please don't hesitate. And hope that's pretty exciting. So we also, I sent that message about the meeting with the labor union to all of you. So we are in the process of setting up that meeting between one of my chiefs of staff, Lyle Carrera, and all of you who expressed interest in that. So those of you on the email chain, please respond to that ASAP on when you would be available for a meeting, so that meeting could actually happen, because I'm pretty excited to see where that goes. And my last thing, I'll let Ananya and Megan talk about this more, but liaison pairings went out. So that is incredibly exciting. Huge step forward in terms of SGA transparency with student organization leaders in the student body. And yeah, it was a pretty crazy week. So I'll hand it over to Mac.
Hey guys, so basically I'm just gonna echo everything Sam said. And then me and Will also have a meeting planned with the senior class giving campaign from alumni relations this Thursday on how we can utilize them in their efforts to help with senior class stuff and other kind of gift giving aspects and stuff we're gonna do with that. Also, we had a committee chairs meeting this past Sunday. It was really helpful. We just talked about kind of how to like run, tips for running committees, productivity, teamwork, issues we've been running into, and yeah, and so we're hoping to start collaborating on a project that we can help hopefully roll out towards the end of intermission. We haven't really gotten like aspects of that kind of moving, but we just kind of floated some ideas. So we'll probably have another committee chairs meeting after Thanksgiving to kind of see where everyone's heads at and flesh out some more ideas. And yeah, that's basically it. And we will not be having our SGA meeting next week because obviously it's Thanksgiving break. I just want to make sure everyone knew that. And then up next we have Addie, our executive treasurer.
Hi. Okay. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm at home, so my family's in the kitchen. Okay, so for SAC, we've been going through requests still, and basically we've decided that for next year, like the process that we're currently doing is just not sustainable if there's an influx of requests, which we hope there are, and especially if we are in person, but just depending on like what COVID looks like, who knows. But there will be a lot more requests no matter what, I'm hoping. And so because of that, we just don't really think that the system that we're doing right now is going to work because it honestly is not as efficient as like other systems, like the annual budget things. So we're going to switch to a semester budget, which would mean that like we already have semester, and we'll look at us line by line, looking at like everything group is like requesting for, but we think that it just might be easier for both us and the groups. And so that's kind of what's going on in that world. And then let me just make sure I didn't miss anything in that. Also, so for that, SAC and Finance, we're going to be working on our current guidelines just to like provide more clarity, because like one thing the system has really shown us is that like there are a lot of things that aren't necessarily clear in the guidelines, and like there are a lot of questions and things that are just kind of like rules that haven't necessarily been detailed. And so we're going to really try to fix that and like work on that. So that'll be coming soon, and also a timeline for the new system will be coming soon. And then in terms of like SGA finances, we still have like our whole budget for SGA. So please reach out if you have like any ideas or anything like that, because like, we have the money. Let's try to come up with some cool things to do, and just reach out to me about any of that, and we can figure out some kind of plan. But yeah, again, I'll drop my email in the chat again. If you have anything, or if you have any groups that want to come talk to us, they can come email me or email SAC, and then they can always come to our meetings Wednesdays at 8. So thanks.
Next we have Brianna, executive secretary.
Alrighty, so first off, I apologize for missing last meeting. I had an exam that I had to take right after work, which happened to be during SGA. Sorry, I'm also in a room with somebody. So updates on my end, the CMC has been meeting regularly. We didn't meet last weekend because nobody could make it from exams, but we'll be meeting this Thursday to make up for it. At last meeting, we brainstormed some ideas for graphics and then talked about training in the future so we could like update our skills. If anybody's interested in seeing the CMC form for the brainstorming form we have, it's in the CMC folder. Remember, if you ever want to use the CMC, fill out the CMC use form. I get an email alert every single time you do, and then I will send it in the group chat unless it's the day before Thursday. So Wednesday or Thursday, I'll just bring it up at the meeting and we'll have something productive hopefully happen. We will hopefully have the social media chair posting regularly. So every single week about GBM, linking to it. If you guys ever want to publicize events for your committees or for like class council stuff, please let us know. We will make you some pretty graphics, of course. Alrighty, and then other things, I'll be meeting with the labor union. I was one of the people that am helping Sam out with that. I also have been meeting with the SGA at Loyola. They just want to see how we're functioning to see if we can see if they can copy some of our stuff, and I'm going to see if we can pick up any functioning tips from them. I also think it's just good to collaborate with other colleges because, we all have different ideas. Most SGAs are structured pretty differently. So hopefully we'll be able to figure something out. I also have a meeting with the head librarian sometime in the next month to talk about archiving all of our records so that they're in the public, just in the public record so everybody can see them. Hopefully that'll help out with transparency. And then lastly, I met with somebody from SPIN who will be presenting today. I'm not going to spoil what they're presenting about, but just look forward to that. That's all for me.
Thanks, Brianna. Next, we're going to do class council reports. So we're going to start with seniors. Will?
Hey, so senior class council met earlier today. We are finalizing the last of our logistics for a spirit wear design competition for the class. As Mahek mentioned earlier, I also met or are planning on meeting on Thursday with alumni for the senior giving / senior gift. So that's super exciting. And we have also been meeting with the commencement staff, and our next meeting is set for the first week of December, where we're just talking about specific experiences of the undergraduate, like life/experience that should be highlighted for commencement, and working on other logistics that can't all be talked about, but we are working on those things. That's it for us. Thank you.
All right, next we have juniors. So Nathan.
Yeah, nothing much to report right now, except that, as Brianna mentioned, she broke my heart yesterday when her car broke down. And she
I'm
did come to me.
sorry.
But other than that, everything's good, I guess.
Okay, for backstory, I had planned to meet with him twice and I had to cancel the first time because one of my friends got COVID and I needed to be safe. And the second time I was like, I promise I'm going to meet with you, right? And my car freaking broke down and I got to Baltimore at 11 p.m. I'm so sorry. Just to clear the air.
All right, then next we
love you.
have, sorry, Nathan.
I just said she's fine. I love you.
Next we're gonna do sophomores. So Anthony.
Yeah, we're mostly just gearing up for next semester. And we're looking at things like possibly getting things started for garden party, whatever that looks like. Trying to make that happen.
That's exciting stuff. Next we have freshmen.
So we've worked on plans and ways to get the student body to get involved and, bonding over the break. So those are some fun stuff that we're rolling out. And we're also getting some structural stuff in the air for our next projects and legislation things. We also have a proposal for a special forum that's in today's meeting. So lots of stuff. Woo.
I love the excitement. All right, then we're gonna do committee reports. So we're gonna start with academic affairs.
So we had quite a busy week as well. Our first pretty successful event was we decided very last minute to partner with our academic support and like basically the programs, academic affairs programs, to kind of host this registration roundtables for freshmen. So it spanned over the course of 4 days, from 7 to 9 p.m. each day. And we had about 50 people, 50 freshmen and sophomores show up. So that was really exciting. But that also kind of is a problem because we do have registration this week. And so obviously, having 50 kids there at the last minute asking questions means maybe we do need more resources out there to help. So hopefully we'll keep this partnership in mind for the spring semester if it is hybrid or online. And so, yeah, that was that. And then I guess the second thing, we had the lovely Jenny come to talk to us about some complaints again against some professors and maybe possible ways to kind of streamline the process of reporting grievances. So currently, and she did a little bit of research for us, so thank you for that. We actually, like the process to report, it takes a bizarre 120 days or something for admin to get back to students about it. And I haven't really taken a closer look at that, so I may be wrong, but I guess the whole process itself right now is not streamlined. So with that being said, we're meeting tomorrow with the Deans of Education to get their opinion on that, on how we can make that process better. So far, we've just been kind of forwarding emails anonymously, and we can still continue that process, but it just takes a while and it's just not very streamlined. So on that note, we're also meeting with them tomorrow about our course evaluation. So I don't know if everyone saw in their emails, you should have gotten an email, and they are doing course evaluations this year. So, and I think this came directly from the two deans, and I think it is going to be professor heavy. So we'll figure out what that means tomorrow, and then we'll get back to you guys after Thanksgiving on exactly what the new course evaluations will look like. I think they're trying a new system. It's called the APHIS system. If anyone wants to, yeah, well, if anyone wants to check that out. I've tried it. It doesn't really work yet. Supposedly that's also the system where our syllabi are supposed to go up for this upcoming year. So we'll see what happens and get back to you guys after Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you for that update. Next, we have a civic engagement. So Senator Wang and Senator.
Hey, so in terms of civic engagement, we're really just focusing on the Georgia runoff elections right now. I'm planning on like creating a small graphic about like each of the 4 like politicians' main points. And I definitely hope that anyone on civic engagement, or if you're just like interested in the election, if you could like pitch a hand, that would be really helpful. Other than that, we're still collaborating with Hopkins Votes to bolster their media campaign about that runoff election, get a bunch of any like Georgia residents or anyone who can vote in Georgia should vote in the runoff elections. And beyond that, we're really just brainstorming about how we can engage the community in the coming semester. Hopefully that we're in person, and also just walking that fine line between not being a health risk to the rest of the community, but also really getting people engaged with it. Kata, did you have anything else? Oh, you want to talk about like Dear First Year Reading, right?
Yeah, so we wanted to close out Dear First Year Me this week, but at our committee chair, or before the semester ends, but at the committee chair meeting, we talked about how this idea of building a digital community is something that is something that everyone can partake in. So we'd love to do some brainstorming with some of the other committees about how we can send out a collection of like both soft power, hard power resources that combine not only the Dear First Year Me series of advice and connecting people, but also other resources that other committees knows that they were struggling with. So big shout out to the collaborative energy that went into the committee chairs meeting on Sunday. Can't wait to see what more comes of it. But it looks like now we're going to aim for intercession for that project instead. Great. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Next we have finance, the Senator Ha.
Hi. I pretty much echo what Addie said. We've just been meeting Wednesdays at 8 p.m. If any group is ever interested, please feel free to reach out and you can come to our meetings. That's it from me.
All right. Next we have health, safety, and sustainability by Senator Chen and Senator.
Hi guys, JJ's Wi-Fi is a little bit choppy because she's literally halfway across the world, so it's just going to be me doing the updates today. So for HSS, we've had a pretty busy week. About a week ago, we met with Jackie Stone from CHU from the admin dinner, and we talked about collaboration between CHU and HSS. We also recently did a social media promo of the existing mental health resources, and we're also planning a collab with Academic Affairs. So look out for that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Megan.
Oh, JJ, did you want to add anything?
Oh no, that's it. I like echoing that my internet is super choppy, but that's it.
All right. Next we have internal affairs, President Cho. Will.
Yep, so internal affairs actually met earlier today. We were just looking at the lottery for student engagement bill, which was super interesting. We loved it. And we voted to approve it for GBM. So that was super exciting.
Thank you. Next we have student orgs, so Senator Kalahasi and Senator Cho.
Cool. So last week when we did updates, I hit on my desk to knock on wood really aggressively hard as we said liaison pairings and everything would be cleared out of us voting on re-reg by the end of the week. And both things happened. So we, I think, cleared out our last 90 or 100 orgs when we were voting on last Thursday during GBM. So all of those are taken care of. We're just requesting modifications now. So hit our benchmarks on that. And I'll let Megan share updates on liaison.
Yeah, so big news. We finally got liaisons out. It's been a long time coming, but we're finally happy to be here. So yeah, that was a big move this week. We sent out all the emails to the senators who are going to be the liaisons, as well as all the student org leaders. And right now we're basically just kicking it off in Slacks, like making sure everybody knows what we're doing and everybody is where they're supposed to be. And later today, we'll be also going over first steps for liaisons, and then also like a general how to be a good liaison later today. Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys' presentation. Okay, Student Services, President Singleton.
Yeah, so we met on Sunday and then earlier today. We're mostly just looking towards next semester and specifically whenever it comes into like student belongings. But also, I just want to echo what everyone else said about the meeting we had on Sunday with all the committee chairs. I think it was really awesome. And I'm excited to see what programs come out of that.
Thank you, Anthony. Next we have caucus reports. So we're gonna start with the Block Caucus. Senator Oninanya.
Yeah, not much to report either. Mostly just making plans for next semester and seeing how to get everyone together to meet that.
Awesome. Next we have the Hispanic/Latinx Caucus, Executive Secretary Solitelli.
Alrighty, so we recently found out that my schedule, Elena's schedule, and Talia's schedule apparently never aligned. We've been trying to have this meeting for now 3 weeks and we still haven't been able to. So I don't know what we're gonna do. We're still working on it. Hopefully I'll have an update by next Tuesday. I know I said that last time, but we're really working on it. I've reached out to a couple people in group chats and stuff for some orgs. And again, if anybody else wants to get involved, let me know. I will be working with Sam on getting a member on the Hispanic Latinx working group through Calvin and Carolyn and SLI and that whole gang. But otherwise, I apologize for the lack of any change at all.
Thank you, Brianna. Next we have Women and Gender Minorities Caucus, Senator Zhang.
Nothing too much this week, just we have our next GBM on Sunday, the 22nd, I believe. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And also I met today with Ireland and Nathan to talk more about the pronouns and preferred names issue. And hopefully we want to work with PRDC on that as well.
Could you say that again? You want to work with the PRDC on that?
Yeah, I think Ireland will be reaching out shortly.
Okay. And then last but not least, we have our advisor report from Caroline.
Hey y'all. Two things. First is remember, or maybe this is a question, but making sure that the events and meetings that you all are having are in Hopkins groups. I think Sam mentioned in the last meeting, y'all were going to talk about that somewhere. So don't know if it's talked about, but you should be doing that. And then the second thing is I hope y'all have a really great Thanksgiving and get some rest.
Thank you, Caroline. And we covered that in our committee chairs meeting. That was on Sunday.
Awesome, thank you.
With that, we're going to go on to new business. So the first thing we have is our spin scooter presentation. And I think you're here to present for them. And Brianna is going to help facilitate that.
I'm actually not here to present for them. They're here to present for themselves. So I met with them. I was one of the representatives and heard the whole spiel, and it was a really good spiel, and I can't do nearly as good. So I'm going to let them take over. Feel free to turn on your cameras and unmute yourself if you are a representative from there and take it away. It's all yours.
Awesome. And you guys should have, oh, sorry. I was just saying, I think you guys have sharing permission. So if you have any like presentation, PowerPoint, anything you want to pull up, you can do that now.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Finlath. I work on the campus partnerships team. I am trying to share my screen and it is disabled.
Oh, does it work now?
Let's see. Oh, yes. Awesome. Great. That.
While Daniel's getting it set up, I'll introduce myself. Joining Daniel, Dave Reed, also from the campus partnerships team.
Awesome. We're super excited to be here. Thanks. Huge shout out to Brianna for allowing us to speak in front of you all. Like I said, we're part of the campus partnerships team at SPIN. We are Ford Motors e-scooter company and one of the operators in the Baltimore community. We just wanted to talk to you about who we are, what we prioritize as a company, and have a discussion about how to work with you all and build a program for Johns Hopkins. As a part of the Ford family, one of the most important values we have is partnerships first. And we're frankly here in front of you all because our programs are the best when it's built with the students' priorities in mind, especially at a time like this. This has been an incredibly unprecedented year for us, but through our partnerships, we've been able to serve our communities, whether that be giving free rides to our frontline workers, to supporting transportation demand when buses aren't running to capacity. We are one of the only companies to stay open during all of the pandemic. In fact, we've even grown our operations into 70+ cities now, some of those international, and we are on 20 campuses currently. Of course, this is due to our amazing people on the ground working every day to make sure that our scooters are running smoothly. I'll let Dave dive a little deeper into that.
Yes, thank you. So I joined the SPIN team actually earlier this summer. I spent the last 5 years working in micromobility, so shared bikes and scooters has been my expertise over the last several years, and I've really seen that the SPIN model for operations has been the best, essentially because of having employees. So our focus in Baltimore is specifically we have full and part-time employees that are servicing the program when it comes to picking up the scooters, bringing them in at night, charging the scooters, being very responsive to any issues that might occur. And we also ensure that when we work with university campuses, that we hire locally and we hire students. So there's a lot of communication, a lot of potential opportunities for students, but also that there's a very well-organized program that we set up here. And so one of the things that we believe is a differentiator for SPIN and also really important for university campuses is what we're calling our SPIN charging hubs. So these are parking and charging stations. SPIN has started to deploy these in several markets around the country, and we are looking to do so in Baltimore, but we would love to get it started on Johns Hopkins campus. A little bit of quick background, the city of Baltimore has some restrictions on the code. What we would propose in Baltimore would be to have advertising and sponsorship at these hubs. And as part of that, we would provide some advertising revenue share back to the student government and the university. So this is a no-cost investment for Johns Hopkins and for student government. It actually is a revenue generator. So that's one of the benefits that these hubs bring. It also helps to keep things in order, less clutter, cleaner campus. It's a little bit more reliable and predictable. And also, which Daniel will touch on next, is it makes things more environmentally sustainable.
Awesome. Yeah, as Dave mentioned, hubs are also a part of a bigger plan that SPIN has to be carbon negative by 2025. Eventually, our hubs will be solar powered as well as our vans. So this kind of fits into the narrative of, being a greener company. And I'll touch on this briefly, but we like to get creative with some of the initiatives that our students are working on. Most recently, we did a big push to the polls at a number of universities. 3 that are featured on this slide are Purdue, Duke, and Akron. We hear that students sometimes don't have a plan to get to the polls. So we offered free credits to spin to the polls. And we hear from a lot of our college campuses that connectivity to the greater community is something that's really important to us. One of our students, it's important to them, and I just wanted to highlight a quote from one of the SGA members who worked with at Duke University. Zoe said, "I see spin as becoming an increasingly indispensable part of Duke's students' choice of everyday transportation, especially as we on the Durham Community Affairs Committee push to better connect with the surrounding city of Durham and host more events off campus." So if you'd like, we could get creative with you and support some of the initiatives you are working on. And lastly, this is a video we worked on with our recent launch at Texas State. We found something really interesting here. Not only were we providing a service to the students to complete essential trips, but students are using this recreationally, our services recreationally. So without further ado, I'd love to just kind of let the video speak for itself. Can you all hear that, by the way?
We cannot hear that.
Ooh.
Okay. I cannot. When you share, make sure as soon as you hit that person, you click the like share.
Working with Spin has been a fantastic experience. So they approached us in the summer when we were building plans about how we were going to keep campus and our faculty, students, and staff safe during the school year, and came to us with some ideas they have from experience they have on other campuses, particularly how Spin can be a way to help provide additional transportation options for students coming to campus and continuing to study hard and trying to have fun in a regular college experience. The impact has been, it's really helped students move around and increase their range in a very simple way. And it's also provided a nice fun amenity for students, at a time when many things that they would normally do aren't available because of coronavirus.
Our mission as student government is always students serving students, finding out how to best adapt to things in the classroom, finding better options for transportation for our students. College life has definitely been a lot different from my past experience. I'm usually a lot more mobile than I was before, and so that kind of created a different need. Well, I've noticed that a lot of people sometimes just hop on a scooter just to relax, go and catch the breeze, check out all the beautiful corners of campus. If you don't have a car, or you're just in the campus area and if buses aren't at full capacity, try them out, give them a shot.
The company Spin has been really good to work with. I'm a big bike guy, and so that's what I always want to see people doing, but I've become a little bit of a believer in the scooters. I was a little reluctant at first, but I see people riding these scooters all the time. Pretty much any time I go outside on campus, I see someone riding a scooter, and that's kind of incredible. Spin has a requirement in our contract with them that if we ask them to move something, they have 2 hours to move it. And so far, they have done exceptionally well. They've always blown that time limit right out of the water.
We might go on like a 5-minute ride, or we could just be going on for hours. And it's just fun. I've used it for daily transportation too, especially whenever I've missed the bus or because I can't drive myself. I usually just use it, and it's really fast transportation. It's a lot easier than riding a bike sometimes because again, just press and go and you're fine.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, I'll close it out here for us. So this is a summary of what Spin envisions for a partnership with Johns Hopkins. As I said before, no cost to the university, no investment required. Number two, with the backing of Ford, we actually would be interested in funding a research partnership. We're doing this on a number of campuses and happy to share some examples of these. The charging and parking hubs that we touched on, we envision having 10 to 15 of these on campus to ensure a very well-run and organized program. And that revenue share from advertising could be shared back to the student government and the university. And last, a subscription to our data management platform that we work with, Populous, which is really helpful for informing future transportation needs and requests. So thank you all, and we're looking forward to answering some questions.
Yeah, that's all we got. Here's our contact information as well. I can send the slide to Brianna to share with the rest of SGA, but thank you all so much. And without further ado, we'd love to open it up for questions.
Would anyone like to motion for a Q&A?
Heck, I'll motion for a 9-minute Q&A with 45 seconds speaking time.
Seconded.
Seconded. All in favor of a 9-minute Q&A with 45 seconds speaking times, please go to the participants tab and hit the yes check mark thing. If you're against it, then no, you know. All right. Looks like you got majority vote. Will, you're first on the speakers list, so you can go ahead.
Hi, yeah, firstly, thank you so much for coming out here. This looks super exciting. One question I had was, what's the purpose of the partnership? Because does this still mean that students are paying for the service? Like it's just standard, it's just that the accessibility has been augmented, but with the charging ports on campus, correct?
Yes, exactly. We also have worked with some university campuses that have decided to subsidize memberships. So that's always, you know, an option. But essentially what we're proposing today is providing greater access for scooters on campus. So we'd have designated deployments all around campus to make it a lot easier.
Right. I'm just very interested in the subsidizing aspect, just in terms of accessibility for people from different, you know, associated backgrounds, from where they come from. You know, not all students have the ability to spin. So that's just a concern, but that's good to hear that. I mean, it would be exciting to see if that could happen. Thank you.
Yeah, and one thing we actually didn't touch on is a program called Spin Access that we do have active in Baltimore, which is essentially 50% off rides. So the standard is $1 to unlock a scooter. It'd be 50 cents to unlock a scooter, and it's half that price per minute that we provide for people that are, you know, low income or qualifying.
Thank you.
I'll yield my time. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Next we have Nathan.
Yeah, I was just curious. I don't know how familiar you are with the university thus far, but generally we've been pretty restrictive on scooter access on campus. So we have like particular scooter zones like off campus that people are supposed to park in. Whether or not that actually happens, that's a whole nother conversation. But I was just wondering if you've reached out to university facilities, like how on board with this idea they've been, and if you've seen any, I guess, major roadblocks that are things that we could assist with, or things that you think that some of these new proposals could help to address.
Yeah, so we have reached out. We have not had any meetings or any serious engagement. We have seen it often works best when there is a little bit of hesitancy from administration. You know, if the student government is supportive of it, you know, they listen, obviously, a little bit more receptive to it. So yeah, I mean, if that's something that the university, the student government's open to, then I think that may be the best route. Daniel, any thoughts?
No, you know, in terms of creating a partnership with the university, like hubs and other safety measures, we just want to have like strong communication when it comes to, you know, operating on campus. We can even explore like kind of reward systems for good behavior. For instance, at University of Central Florida, we have a reward system with our hubs where if a scooter is parked properly, we give a reward for their next ride, or, you know, we can explore like discounts at you know, local shops or on campus stuff.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Next we have Kobe.
Hi, I had a quick question. So earlier you're talking about the hubs. One of the ways that you guys generate revenue is through advertisements on these hubs. Right. I was wondering if SGA or Hopkins as a whole would have some insight into what types of advertisements you'd be posting here. Like if there's something from, I like just hypothetically, like a company that's controversial, is there any input that we could give?
Yeah, so first and foremost, it would be anything would be university approved. We would also yield about 25 to 30% of the screen time to university messaging. So it could be safety messaging, COVID related, current event things that are going on. So it's information also, it's not just advertising.
Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Kobe. I think Sam's up next.
Oh, hello. Thank you again for coming. So I think this question was answered a little bit, but so this partnership does not currently exist, and you said that you haven't had serious conversations with administrators yet about it?
Correct. Yes. Right now, my understanding is the campus is geofenced, so the university decided not to participate when we started in the city of Baltimore.
Okay. So when you say you haven't seriously reached out, so did you maybe like send an introductory email and there was no response or anything, or how's that looked?
We've sent multiple introduction emails and haven't really received responses.
All right, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I was just trying to get the lay of the land. Thank you.
All right.
I yield my time.
Next we have Will again, right? Will, did you raise your hand again?
Yeah, I did again. Sorry. Just for context for Daniel and David, I'm not sure how much of feasibility study you guys have done based on like just the general size of our school. But I would imagine that the reason why the administration didn't respond is because our university campus is very small. You can walk from the two polar ends of it in 12 minutes. And so spins are great because if you're in a pinch, they do have their uses. But other than that, because our campus is so small, a lot of students live like off campus technically, and that's where the need for spins would more be used. For example, on the northern or like southern ends of campus, or branching out like within a half-mile radius from our actual campus. So just, I don't know if you guys are aware, but those charging ports would be better located off campus in a sense. And granted, a lot of land that is surrounded by our campus is owned by Hopkins, but there are other like buildings and entities that like own those like areas as well. Like I don't know all the municipality like details, but I will add that there's a lot of students living that's not on campus, or how do I put this? Just the spins would have to go a lot off of campus for it to be useful for everyone. That's what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good feedback. So we looked at it at student population size as the primary interest here. And when we install hubs, we like to place them in destinations. So where are students riding to? Essentially, we would set up deployments in a lot of student housing or off-campus housing that we currently can do, but where can students ride to? So part of the process is collaborating with student government to figure out where would be key location that would make sense.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Will. Next we have JJ.
Hello, this is JJ, one co-chair of HSS. First of all, I want to apologize for not getting back to you, Daniel, because it's just buried in a long list of other emails, and also that was before we knew the modality for next semester, and we wasn't sure if it was gonna be as this semester fully online. But going off of that, even though there will be some sort of in-person activities for Hopkins students for next semester as of now. There's still a lot of uncertainties involving the pandemic and the public health situation. So do you have any plan B for what if we go fully online last minute? And what is SPIN doing to ensure that public health, like in terms of sanitizing the scooters and that sort of stuff, because it is something that's shared by multiple people. That's it.
Yeah. Dan, you want to take it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in front of you today just because we want to hear more about your priorities and also, make an introduction to you all. Brianna did mention that the university is still thinking about opening for next semester, but if that doesn't happen, it's fine. This is like a good time to kind of work with you all and plan and hear more about what's important for a program at Johns Hopkins.
And as far as COVID protocols, yeah, it's something we started right away in March. And so anytime that anyone from our team, that's a full or part-time employee, is servicing a scooter, they're sanitizing it. Anytime that it's brought back to the warehouse, it's sanitized. So we've got a lot of enhanced protocols as compared to pre-pandemic.
Awesome. So our Q&A has expired, but I see that a lot of people are still on the speakers list. So if anyone wants to extend the moderator caucus, you guys can motion for that now.
Motion to extend for 6 minutes.
Second.
1 minute speaking times?
Sure, yeah. Or we'll just change it to a 6-minute moderator caucus with 1 minute speaking times.
Okay. Could I get everyone to go to the participants tab and hit the yes or the no button? All right, looks like we have a majority. So I think the first one, if you guys could raise your hands again, that would be awesome. Okay, I see Ananya's hand is up, and then I saw Raj's hand was up, so Raj, you'll go next.
Yeah, I was just sort of going to echo what Will was saying earlier. Oh, my video. I was just going to echo what Will was saying earlier. Aside from the density of people who live off campus, I think two other things that make transport difficult around campus. The first is that our campus is almost entirely red brick. And I think combined with the fact that we have not the most accessible campus, there are a lot of stairs that go between quads that are built at different levels. And I think there are very few people who don't have to climb or descend at least one flight of stairs to go between two classes unless they're like pretty close together, which I think makes it harder for people to use something like a scooter versus just walking, because to take a scooter, you'd effectively have to go all the way around instead of just taking the fastest path between classes. And I think then it becomes less worth it for a lot of people. Those are just my two thoughts after Will mentioned the off-campus housing things. I think it just makes it difficult to, and I've known this to be true even for people who've like biked, it just becomes difficult when there's stairs everywhere that make it harder to do anything but just walk or up or down them.
Yeah, one comment I would just make on that is, I don't think our goal is to try to replace walking trips. Our goal is to, be a complement to existing transit services. So buses, shuttles, ride hailing, Uber, Lyft. So, those more like 1 to 2 mile trips for transportation. I think that's a goal. Plus maybe, the recreational type of riding that we touched on earlier.
I think Raj is next, and then we're gonna do Megan, Will, and then Nathan, and then Brianna.
Hi, my question is just kind of going off what Will and Ananya said about the spread of our campus. And given that a lot more students are going to be either in off-campus housing or maybe not necessarily dorming in on-campus dorms and more like on the further away off-campus dorms, like maybe in Bradford or something, what's like your ability to kind of expand and like maybe have hubs in like that section
and kind of just not be sort of on campus as much, but a wider like kind of net, so to speak? Like, what's your ability and to like do that logistically?
We have really, I mean, we have an agreement with the city of Baltimore, so we can operate anywhere. I think when it comes to hubs, there's restriction on placing them on public property. So if we get private property agreements, you know, some of these off-campus housings, that's a great approach. We've done that in DC. We've done in a lot of other cities. So that's a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have Megan next.
Hi, I just wanted to kind of echo where everyone's saying that I think it'd be better to try to target like the off-campus population, like because as Raj said, a lot of us are moving off-campus because obviously on-campus housing isn't a thing because COVID. And also like to add on that, like as somebody who has torn their ACL, it is very difficult to get to class and you like really can't walk anywhere. And like I used to have to like call security to like drive me to my classes. And I even ended up like dropping a class because I just couldn't make it like physically. I like couldn't make it over like the 2 quads. So yeah, just a little bit of like insight that if you've ever been on a campus, it's like lots of stairs, like every single quad. And oh, there's also marble, which is a huge problem during the winter because ice is very slippery and very scary. So yeah, thank you.
And then I think we have Nathan, and then we're gonna do Sam and then Brianna, and then the Q&A is gonna be shut because I think time's gonna expire.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to clarify just to quickly add on. So I echo kind of what everyone else is saying about the off-campus housing. Just like, you know, if I want to go visit another off-campus housing, that might be 20 minutes on pavement for a walk. And that, you know, is something that would be, you know, that I've used scooters for before. But I also just wanted to like clarify that we like are all coming from the Homewood campus. And so when we think of Hopkins, there's a lot of other campuses, some of which might be more amenable to scooter use. So I think about like the medical campus, probably not Peabody, but it's too small. But there's definitely other places on like, we're a very distant and scattered campus. So there's definitely other places for spin to work as well. If, you know, it's nice to have a unified architecture that still might maybe be a little bit heavier on the med campus than it is at Homewood, because yeah, there's a lot of places at Homewood that it's hard to imagine scooters working that well.
Cool. That's good to know. Thanks.
And then Sam, you can go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple things. In terms of scooter placement, I mean, the time I've used scooters the most is when I was on my way back from the gym to my off-campus housing. And I mean, you'd have to let Hopkins give permission to put the scooters on campus. But I mean, I think that's a great place to put it because everyone's tired after they go to the gym, so they don't want to walk. In terms of kind of the question of this conversation in general, I mean, I'm thinking the most productive thing to do might be to think about it, like the next step forward. If we as an SGA want to take that next step forward, I think would be to set up a meeting between you guys, us, and administrators, because that'd have to be the next step forward if we actually want to do this. So as to whether we want to do that, I guess that's up to all of us, and we could have that conversation in whatever form we want. But I just wanted to put that idea out there for everyone's consideration.
And sorry, did someone have anything to say? All right, Brianna, you're the last one.
Yeah, so I was just going to say exactly what Sam did, where I think that we've gotten the student feedback that's been wanted from here. Just like we have a wide range. Freshmen haven't been on campus. Sophomores were on campus for like 6 months, and the juniors and seniors are now living off campus or, you know, at home. So we do have a wide range, and people do use scooters. I distinctly remember a scooter being found in AMR2 that somebody tried to drive down the stairwell at 3 in the morning. So scooters are a thing that students use. I think we just use the ones that are off campus because, you know, a lot of us come from off campus. And I do think it would be a good idea to set up a meeting between us and admin. That way admin's getting your perspective, like you're being spin, and then also the benefits for the student body. Plus, if you consider it from the perspective of Hopkins wanting to go more green, this would definitely help having a partnership with a company that also wants to go green. So Sam stole my thunder, but basically that's what I was going to say.
We appreciate
So thank you guys so much for coming and presenting. Our exec board will email you guys and get you guys in contact with some admin, and we'll definitely try to set up a meeting. But thank you guys for presenting. We're very excited to work with you in the future.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
For your
Appreciate
time.
everyone's time. Take care.
Have a good one.
All right, I guess the next thing on our agenda is the liaison expectations presentation, headed by Senator Kalahasti and Senator Chen, and you guys have sharing abilities, so you guys can go ahead and present.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna do the first half of this and Megan's gonna do the second half. Mehek, is it still okay if we take questions after slides instead of taking them all at the end?
Yes, that's fine. And then if anyone wants to have a moderated Q&A at the very end, we can have that, or a Q&A, not moderated. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, especially for the first handful of slides, they're a little dense. There's a lot on them. So please just stop me if you have questions. Cool. I'm going to start with instructions. So obviously, as you all know, liaison pairings all went out on Sunday at 6 p.m. sharp. You all should have gotten an email that had like the full description of what we sent to student org leaders, since you all were CC'd on each of those emails. So you know everything that student org leaders do at this point in time. A couple of things just to make things easier in the Slack. There's like 140 or 150 people in there right now. The total number of people who are going to end up in that Slack are probably going to go closer to like 400 something, maybe 300 something. So just to make things easy, if everyone can change their name to have their full name and then like liaison at the end so that we can find you all easily, that would be super, super easy for the rest of us to handle. And the other thing, this is not required of you, but if you can add like committees, class years, pronouns, anything else about yourselves in your description too, I think it makes it easier for org leaders to be like, okay, this person is probably like they know what orgs are like because they have been in orgs before, or like it makes you a little more relatable. So would highly recommend that as well. Third thing is if you all can change the description of your individual cohort channels to be the list of organizations that you've been assigned. Keep in mind that a lot of leaders are representing more than one group. I think in my cohort channel have like 4 or 5 people who are double and triple representing groups in there. So it makes it easier just to make sure that you have people who are in the right place. And especially if they have more than one liaison assigned to different groups that they represent, it helps them kind of keep those things straight. So first 2 slides are just going to be like instructions and things that we are going to ask you to do. Does anyone have any questions about these? These ones are the easy ones, so yeah. Okay.
You guys can like just feel free and like jump in and ask questions. This isn't like part of the Parley Pro, so no need to raise your hand or anything. You guys can turn on your video if you want to ask.
Okay, I'm gonna ignore Nathan saying he has questions because I don't think he actually has questions because he's already heard this whole thing from me. Cool. This is the more heavy instructions piece. So all of you should be in a private channel on Slack that's name is basically like your name cohort. So like mine is called Ananya's cohort, Megan's is Megan's cohort. Every senator should have one. If you are not currently in your cohort channel, please message one of us ASAP. I think I double and triple and quadruple checked these before we sent pairings out, so everyone should be in those. But and then the second channel that's private that you all should be in is the Liaisons channel. This is only senators, and I think exec is in it as well. Please don't add non-senators and exec to it. This is going to be the place where like Megan and I send reminders to you all of like things that need to be done, like, hey, remember to like send messages to people, or remember to check your roster, or remember to do these things. And I think we probably don't want non-SGA people to keep seeing those reminders. This channel is not where the tea gets spilled. But just keep checking that channel as well, because that's where reminders will go. The big instruction piece, and I think you all have probably gotten multiple reminders of different sorts from us about adding leaders of your assigned orgs to your cohorts. So our initial hope was that we installed like a greet bot on the Slack that was supposed to direct message every person as they entered the workspace with like instructions for them. It seems like the greet bot was not working the best because people just weren't seeing it and reading it. So if the greetbot works and people read it, or if they read the announcements channel, they are going to DM you or private message you on that Slack workspace to say, hey, can you add me to your cohort channel? So in that case, they're going to take the initiative to reach out to you. All of these other situations are ones in which you all are going to have to take the initiative to kind of find them in the workspace and then add them to the channel. I know it's less ideal, but we just have had a lot of challenges with the Greetbot so far. So we want to make sure people get into the right place, which then just puts a little bit more work on us. So the 3 ways that this might look, the first is if you go through your entire roster. This is linked in that Liaisons channel that we have. It's also in our Drive if you need to find it, but if you go through that and just add everyone who is on that roster, who is in the workspace, to your channel. So that's the first thing you can do. The second one is if you can just like email all of your org leaders that are on your roster with a link to join the Slack. And then the third thing is if you can if you all know how to invite people to a Slack workspace, I think a couple of you did this, you can invite them all directly to Slack using the emails on your roster as well. I think the second to last one is the easiest. You can put in a cute intro. I found out today that Raj can eat a large size pizza in 7.5 minutes because he put that in his cute intro email. So just whatever you need to do to let people know that you exist and you're a person and you know that they need to be in this Slack workspace and you want to reach out to them to make sure they're put in that. Whatever works easiest for you is great. But please just do whatever y'all can do to get those people in and trying to get those people into those things. Last thing I will say is that a lot of the rosters that we have a couple issues with rosters. A lot of the rosters that we pulled didn't have all of their org leaders on them, or they had the wrong org leaders on them, or when we pulled it, it might not have just pulled the right people from that organization, or it might not have pulled any officers from that org. If something like that happens, please feel free to message either Megan or I, or actually you can message Sam as well, because Sam was with us when we did this. But it might also mean that you have to let people in your cohort know that if there are other people who are not in that channel or who didn't receive this email, who are either presidents, VPs, or treasurers, that they can forward that Slack join link to them. So if you end up with one person from an org and you're maybe there should be a couple more people, feel free to tell them to just push that link to the rest of the people on their exec who maybe should be in that workspace. Are the names of org leaders on the chart? So the names of org leaders are in a file that I also sent into the Liaisons chat yesterday around 3 something or 4 something PM. And you can see all of the different, all the leaders and the orgs that they should be in on that. So you should be able to send that. So we sent the emails out to presidents, VPs, and treasurers. So on that spreadsheet, it should have any of the people who are listed as presidents, VPs, or treasurers for those orgs. You might have some orgs that have no people listed. We're working on figuring that out. I think that's what we're going to talk to Carolyn about in our Thursday meeting. We've flagged all the orgs that we could not find officers on campus groups for, or couldn't find the right officers for. But as we figure out those people, we'll keep updating your rosters with them, and we'll let you know if we add people to that. But anyone who's on that spreadsheet, on that roster spreadsheet, should be in your Slack workspace. Any other questions before I go on from this slide? This is the most important of these. Please do these things today if you have not yet done them. I don't want to click on this link. Megan, can you check if it's this link? Okay, cool. I just don't want to exit the presentation. Okay. If there are no other questions, really quickly, just general expectations. The most important thing is please just respond promptly. So if you don't have notifications turned on for Slack, especially at the least for your cohort channel and the Liaisons channel, please just keep your notifications on. So if people ask you questions in those, or if we send you reminders or information in the Liaisons channel, you'll get all of those things and then you can respond to those things. Otherwise, you're probably going to miss things. I think I've sent 10 or 15 messages into the Liaisons channel in the past 48 hours. So please make sure you're checking that. We, as we've currently established things, are going to ask you to do monthly check-ins with your orgs, which will primarily happen via Slack. If there's issues that we need you to discuss with them, or bigger things that come up, we might ask you to set up a Zoom call with them, but mostly it's going to be just questions that you can discuss with folks in Slack. We might ask you to send polls to see how people are doing. And we will let you know when we need you to do those things. So we haven't decided the exact dates and everything that we're going to ask you to do those check-ins, but when they're coming, we'll let you know. So we'll also give you guidance on what we need you to do for those check-ins. But just keep in mind that that will be an expectation for you all. So depending on the number of orgs that you have, you might be checking in with more or fewer people. Remember that you're the point person from SGA for a given org. So they might ask you anything from issues that they're having with campus groups or with budget requests, or like things that are happening with like they might ask you a variety of questions. Megan is going to go through like contact lists of like people you can refer them to if you like don't know the answer to certain questions. But as questions get asked, we'll also compile them into like an FAQ doc so that you can refer back to that. If there's like questions that are getting really frequently asked for people, we will at least have those pulled together. Last thing is like, even if you don't know the answer to a question, please just respond to people. It'll at least look like we care about their questions, which we do care about their questions, even if we don't have the answers to them. And it just looks nice when people respond promptly and other people are stressed. It at least shows them that we do care about them, even if we can't help them immediately. Oh my God, there's 10 things in the chat. Any questions before we go to the next thing? Okay, cool. Megan, take it away.
Hello guys, so this part is the pretty straightforward part of who to ask for help. So for finance camp questions, you can ask the chair of the finance committee, who is our lovely Karen Hub, or our exec treasurer, who is Addie Perlman. And for things that are above that, you can reach out to our SLI people, so Carolyn. But if Carolyn doesn't know the answer, then you can go back to Calvin, because he's been doing SGA a little bit longer, even though he's no longer with us. For student org questions, please reach out to me, myself, and Ananya. And COVID questions, you can reach out to Sam, because usually he has a lot of updates, but another person to reach out would be Addie, because she's also actually on like the working group to talk about COVID and all that with admin. And if it's a question about outside of finance, rewards, or COVID, any of those miscellaneous questions, again, reach out to me and Ananya. Oh, wait, sorry, can you go back? Oh, there's something I forgot to say. For Carolyn and Calvin, they're not in Slack, so please email them, or else they will not see your message, because they don't exist in our Slack channel. Okay, thank you. All right, and this is just for the freshmen, but since we realized that a lot of you guys, well, not a lot of you guys haven't been to campus yet, unfortunately. So you obviously also haven't been to like student orgs that often, or like been like, you're not like super aware of everything that's going on yet, just because you're first years. We have paired you up with a CSO upperclassman buddy who has been on campus and been here for a hot second. Damn, okay, anyways. Well, I got distracted. So yes, Kobe, your CSO upperclassman buddy is Nathan Mudrak. Jenny, your CSO upperclassman buddy, Ananya, Elena, Monor, Ben, and Karen. Harvey and Cece, Ireland, and myself. And Raj is paired up with Julia. Lastly, all of this info, very straightforward, is listed in a doc under our liaisons folder, and it's just called contact list. So in case you ever forget any of this information. Okay, thank you guys.
All right. Does anyone want a motion for a Q&A or anything? If not, then just
Can I just ask one question real quick instead of moderating something? Wait, so I'm trying to add people to my cohort, and I tried adding by their name and their email, but then if I still can't find them, is there another way I can try to find them?
Yeah, so a lot of people aren't in yet, which is because our email click rate had a rate between 0% and 85%. So a lot of you might not have folks in Slack. So things y'all can do, you can either send like an email from Outlook with the link to the Slack workspace to all of your org leaders and just like introduce yourselves and be like, hey, it's me, I'm your liaison, please join this thing. You can send them like direct invitations to the Slack. If you hit on the workspace name and then hit invite people, it'll let you like put a bunch of questions in, put a bunch of emails in, and then you will be able to like send them invites. And then last thing you can do is just like bug them if you know them personally. But I would recommend going through the email steps first, because bugging people is really exhausting. Same thing is also true for KDIs. So if people on your roster aren't on Slack yet, go ahead and add whoever is on Slack right now. And then just send an email out to the people who aren't yet, either with the link or just invite them to the Slack workspace and try to pull them into. Nathan, stop distracting me. What the heck? This is literally harassment. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and send them the link to Slack and just get them all to join the Slack. And then as they enter, they will hopefully message you so that you can add them to your cohort channel. When I emailed all my people today, I basically just said, as soon as you're in the Slack, just like shoot me a text or a Slack DM or a Facebook message and whatever, and then I'll add you to your cohort channel. And then hopefully by that process, you will somehow be able to communicate with them and get them in. One other thing, if it's easier, is just to like bold the people as you add them on your roster. That's what I've been doing. So that way you'll know who hasn't been added yet. And then like if you, after multiple emails and ad invites and all of that stuff, don't have them in yet, you'll at least know who has been added and who hasn't been added. I see so many more questions coming in. Okay, great. I also see Nathan bothering me because that's so mean.
Or you want to answer, Jenny? Or honestly, we haven't actually talked about this, but probably ideally by like the end of Thanksgiving. So like end of November, beginning of December-ish.
I was gonna say, if you don't hear from everyone by the end of the week, then like let us know, because people are gonna go a little AWOL over Thanksgiving comparatively. So we're trying to get folks in as much as possible before people go on break, so that way they're at least like in, and we don't have to keep bugging them while they're on holidays and stuff. Last thing I was gonna say, please like introduce yourselves in your channels with your cohort and like ask them to introduce themselves. If nothing else, it will at least like make things less awkward as you all sit there and like stare at each other virtually through a computer while you like wait for more people to join. And yeah, it makes it easier too, so that you know like all of the, yeah, I don't know what that was, bless you, I'm unsure. It'll just at least make things a little less awkward in your channel as you wait for more people to join. Yeah, you might only have one person introducing themselves, but eventually you'll get there. You'll get to more.
So does anyone have any more questions? All right, I'm gonna take that as a no. Make sure to send Ananya and Megan your questions if you have any more. And thanks for sending out the liaison pairings, guys. With that, we're going to move to the special forum proposal, headed by President Kong. Did I say that right?
Before we start, do you want to explain the rules of the special forum for our friends in the audience?
So a special forum is something that Senator Singleton kind of introduced and brought to us last year from Student Services. So basically it's you get a petition if there's like a topic or an issue you feel like is very relevant to like the student body, and that there should be kind of like a town hall on it, where we can like contact admin and get them in touch with like students. You can use the special forum. And so the proposal is that you get a petition. I think you have to get 50 to 100 signatures. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it'll go to Senate and we will approve or disapprove it. To approve it, we need 3/4. Okay, yeah, 50 signatures. We need a 3/4 like vote on it. And then basically I think 2 people from each class council need to come to the forum, and I think 2 members of exec need to come. And so it's basically just SGA kind of facilitates a conversation with like admin. Like I remember we had one with Dean Smita, and I remember Anthony and Addie were the ones who did this one. I kind of forgot what it was about. It was about like, it was right when we like had to leave campus. And I think it was about student organizations, right? Yeah, student orgs. So Dean Smita was there, and there were just students from like, I don't know, all walks of life. They just came. A lot of them were student org leaders. And they just kind of talked to Dean Smita about what was going on with their student orgs. It was facilitated really well. I think like people were just called on, and then Dean Smita would answer their questions, and they had like a certain time limit and then moved on to the next person. It really just helped clarify things. So I think that these type of like student forums and special forums are very important, and they really do help bring students closer to administration. So thank you, Kobe, for this. And yeah, you can go ahead to present the proposal, and you have screen sharing ability, so you can like screen share whatever you want.
Okay. Let me see if I can figure this out. Oh, yeah, you guys are here? Okay, so yeah, I don't know if you all have read the proposal, so I'm just going to give a brief summary. I know that all of us have probably read the newsletter article published last week regarding St. Elmo's and the allegations of drugging. And we thought that was something that was really important for us as a Hopkins community to discuss, and just regarding Greek life as a whole at Hopkins, and kind of what we can do to improve or change how we think about and how we go through this process here, especially with, reports to OIE and everything. So we proposed that we have a special forum, and we wanted to invite these people, Calvin, Nicholas, Joy, and Justin and Mark from the Interfraternity Council. So yeah, we wrote up this proposal and we sent it out to you last night to get the signatures. Yeah, we're at 113 responses right now. I don't know if you want us to go through all of them, but they're all here. I saw that there were a couple of no's. The 2 no's are empty. It's like there's no name or signature, so I don't know what that was up, but yeah. So that's pretty much it. We just thought that, because we really want to hold our school accountable, because usually when you think of Hopkins, like we don't like to think of ourselves as highly affected by, sexual assaults and this kind of toxicity compared to other campuses, but it does happen, and I feel like that's something that we should talk about. Oh, I can answer some questions in chat, Carolyn. We sent this petition out through an email, and also like in chats that I sent it out in chats that I was with some people. Oh, I mostly just sent it to the freshmen because I didn't want to, I don't know the other grades. But I did send it to some 2023, so there's a couple of those in there, and I think like some stragglers from the upperclassmen. Yeah. Yes, you can send it to the other class years. I was thinking that we already got the 50 needed for us to vote, so I was hoping that if we do pass this, if we could send out more information about the panel as a whole. Yeah, you shouldn't have to, but if we get this running, then it would be nice if we could, broadcast it to everyone so that more people could join in and discuss. Mm-hmm. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anyone want a motion for a moderated caucus? So we can discuss this and then we can go into voting procedures, anything like that.
Or maybe it's so good that we don't even need to discuss.
I'll motion just to put it on the floor. I'll motion to move into voting procedures.
All right.
Second.
Can I point of order? Is that in?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, a procedural measure. Do we have a way of and I hate to be the one to do this, but do we have a way to prove that those signatures are from Hopkins students, because it's not on Hopkins groups, it's on Google Forms?
Other than the emails, that was as far as we went. I think we could email all of the people and ask them to do it through Hopkins groups if that is something that we would want.
I was gonna ask, I'm gonna do a point of information as well. Carolyn, I just want to ask if we sent in all of the students' name and their JHU email, would the SLI office be able to authenticate them as JHU students?
Theoretically, yes. Not theoretically. Yes, we have that ability. It is determining the time frame in which you need this to happen. Because
It's
administratively, it's going to take, it'll take at least an hour or two to do.
Point of information though, I guess what I'm not quite clear on is whether the issue is verifying the emails, because we can just do that in Outlook, or the fact that like you could technically write down anyone's email. Like I mean, I don't think anyone did that to the extent where it's 113. So I think what we could probably just do is email and like have people email us back and say that yes, they signed this. But I agree that that's going to be kind of an immediate reaction, is that technically if it's in a Google form, it wasn't verified.
Yeah, Kobe, just for future reference, you can always send out surveys through Hawkins groups, and that requires them to sign in with their JHead.
Okay.
To make this like not illegal at all, or like to kind of secure this, what if we did like a conditional vote? Like it passes if SLI verifies the email and the name. And Caroline, it doesn't really have, we don't really have a time frame. Like it doesn't need to be done today if you do like a conditional vote based on SLI.
I think I'm more curious about whether or not conditional vote is a thing. Like, I don't think you can vote on something that is not either a yes or a no. Is that, I'd have to verify that. That's more about a point of order than it is about us checking the grades. I think if we need to check, or not grades, but checking the authenticity of the student being a student, but yeah, I'm not sure. Any really Robert's Rule of Order people here?
Just
So I
another
have,
solution.
or
Go ahead, Sam.
yeah, I have an idea. Carolyn, if you think, so it's 9:30 now. Carolyn, if you think that it would be possible to verify these within half an hour, and if that's not, it's totally fine. One thing that we can technically do is we can motion for a 30-minute recess. And during that 30-minute recess, we could verify we could verify this, and then after recess ends and after the verification is there, we can vote on it. I mean, that's a little less than ideal, of course, but that is technically possible if you think it could be done in that time frame.
I do not personally have the ability to check the authenticity of a student in the system. Only Nick and Calvin have that ability. So I could not commit to doing that tonight.
Alternatively, I mean, I don't think it would take that long to garner 50 votes if we redid it over Hawkins groups, and then we could vote on this after Thanksgiving, but that's just a thought.
I think that's a good idea. I'm just gonna ask Kobe, when was the time frame you were kind of planning for this?
I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it as soon as possible while the story was still something in our minds, like obviously after Thanksgiving. But if it's not possible, then that is okay as well.
I think that you should start planning this, because I do think that this will pass very easily at our next meeting. So I would say start planning for the special forum and getting in contact with the admin that you think are necessary, and then send out a Hopkins group form to get the signatures. And I do think that it'll just pass on Tuesday. So if you do want to do this, like you could literally just plan for it to be any day after Tuesday of when we come back.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, does anyone want to motion to table this?
I'll motion to table.
All right. Could I get a second?
Seconded.
Seconded. Okay, all in favor of tabling this until next Tuesday, please go to the participants tab and hit yes, no, or if you're abstaining, then that's okay too.
Point of order. We're not meeting next Tuesday.
Sorry, our next GBM. Yes, just at our next GBM.
Also, everyone please vote. Alrighty, it looks like almost everybody's voted. Well, that's not a person. CC, please vote. Kobe, please vote, unless you're abstaining.
Yeah, is it conflict of interest?
Go ahead and hit like the time clock or the
Oh.
coffee cup or anything.
It's not a conflict of interest. The only conflict of interest is if you're voting to fund an organization that you're a part of. You're allowed to vote yes or no on your own procedures.
Raj, can you pick one? Okay. It looks like the motion to table passes.
All right. So it looks like we've tabled this for now, and that brings a conclusion to our new business. And now we're going to move into prospective business. So the first thing we have is advancing legislation / announcements. So I know Sam has announcements. So Sam, you can go ahead.
Oh, wait, prospective business is first, and I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm putting a note that the special forum is going to be in advancing legislation. So I'm just marking that down so everybody knows. Okay, I'm good.
All right, so I have 1.5 announcements, Kobe. So first announcement, this is more of a reminder. Again, if you're in the Black Caucus and you're interested in being in the Black Student Experience Work Group, or if you're in the Latinx Caucus and you're interested in being in the Latinx Student Work Group, then reach out to me sometime after GBM. In terms of announcing legislation, I'm advancing legislation. I'm going to announce some legislation for people. The Diverse Perspectives Lottery Bill did pass IA, Internal Affairs, and it needs to go through Finance, and then it will presumably be going to GBM. So yeah, get excited for that. Just figured I'd put that in there. And yeah, thanks. Also, stay after if you want to talk about the forum.
If anyone has any other announcements, you guys can just raise your hand or go ahead. Okay. Looks like we'll be moving into public input. So if anyone from the public wants to say anything, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. Okay, so that brings a conclusion to our meeting. If anyone wants to motion for bringing the meeting to a close, you can do so now.
Motion to close meeting.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All right, just go to our participants tab and hit yes or no, and then we'll end the meeting.